This is part 4, our final part of our Polygamist recap. Link is in description for other parts. But basically, a super rich CEO named Jonasi Gomora has been cheating on his wife Joyce with his brother's girlfriend Matipa. He ended up having twins with her. On top of this, he secretly had a third wife, Essie, whom his brother Magesh married to keep this third marriage a secret. He has a daughter named Sarah with Essie, and Sarah is tired of being hidden, so she slept with Bongs. Bongs is Mpume's boyfriend, and Mpume is Joyce and Jonasi's daughter. They also have another son named Menzi, who had a crush on Mpume's best friend Lindani. Unbeknownst to all of them, Lindani had been sleeping with Jonasi all along. In the last episode we covered, pretty much everyone that Jonasi has betrayed is over him by now. Even Matipa has tried to steal some money so she could run away, but Jonasi found out and beat up Matipa pretty badly. Jonasi also hit Joyce. Let's continue. Joyce has a bruised face after Jonasi beat her up, but Jonasi remains unbothered as he continues to pretend to be a sweet and loving husband. This time, however, he is more brazen. He exchanges flirtatious messages with Lindani right in front of his own wife. Matipa, on the other hand, looks so much worse. She meets up with Magesh and admits that Jonasi wanted to kill her the last time they talked. On top of that, Jonasi froze all her accounts. So Magesh brings her some groceries and hands her Essie's allowance. She admits she chose the wrong brother and should have gone with the bigger back one. Sarah is about to go to university, so Magesh surprises her with a laptop. Sarah is more than happy to be spoiled by her uncle, but she misreads his intentions and goes in for a kiss. Surprised, Magesh pushes his niece away. Lord Jesus Christ Almighty. At least Magesh isn't nasty like his brother. Menzi is still acting out and even gets in a fight with a foreman. However, he's all talk and can't even defend himself. Lucky for him, Freedom is there to help him out. After what happened with Sarah, Magesh immediately confides in Essie. Magesh says she and Jonasi are the reason that Sarah is misbehaving. So Essie calls Jonasi right away, and he promises to come over. When Matipa takes the twins to Joyce's house, Joyce hasn't had the time to cover her bruises, but she is more shocked when she learns that Matipa suffered much worse. Matipa shows her back and admits that Jonasi beat her using his belt buckle. Joyce wants to take Matipa to the hospital, but Matipa refuses. Instead, she asks Joyce to look after the twins while she runs an errand. Joyce finally confronts Magesh for always siding with his brother. She calls him out for not having the guts to go against Jonasi. So Magesh finally decides to act and helps kick Jonasi out of the house. He accuses Magesh of eating Joyce's kitty, but Magesh denies it and drags him away. Because Jonasi didn't show up at Essie's house, Essie takes Sarah to a traditional healer. The healer says Sarah is not cursed and that she's acting out because of her absent father. The old man then tells Sarah to focus on her life because she'll never get the apology she wants from her father. After getting kicked out of the house, Jonasi goes to Essie's only to find her with a much foreigner man. He's beyond furious and accuses her of cheating. But Essie says who is going to fulfill her needs while he's out giving everyone gonorrhea. Jonasi is no match against Essie's boyfriend, so Jonasi takes his bags and leaves. To the left, take you ugly ass to the left. It's already late and Matipa hasn't returned yet. To their surprise, they find a letter in the baby's bag addressed to Joyce. In the letter, Matipa apologizes for everything she did. She's going to start a new life and is leaving her twins to Joyce, whom she knows will raise them better. The next day, Joyce goes to Matipa's house to get some stuff for the twins. She finds out that Jonasi has moved in with Lindani, but Joyce doesn't care. It's even awkward when Menzi is there looking at his crush, who now bends over for his father. Wanting to spoil his girl, Jonasi even gives Lindani a credit card and tells her to spend as much as she wants. As soon as Lindani leaves, a friend of Matipa rings the doorbell. Her name is Lungi. Jonasi admits that Matipa no longer lives there and invites Lungi inside the house. It doesn't take long for Jonasi to make a move, and Lungi lunges on his D. When Magesh goes to work that day, he finds out that Jonasi has fired him. He is worried at first, but he tells Joyce that he's also relieved that he's no longer working for his brother. Now he can focus on his own life. Jonasi continues to party and shower Lindani with expensive gifts. One day he notices that his cough is not going away. He goes in for a checkup, and the doctor says he has pneumonia and HIV. Jonasi gets really angry and refuses to believe the diagnosis. Karma is working overtime. 2 years later, Jonasi's condition worsens. Lindani's attitude has changed as Jonasi's body weakens. She spends his money and leaves him to do household chores himself. Meanwhile, Jonasi refuses to take his medication and is just going for therapeutic healing methods. The company suffers because of Jonasi's condition, so he meets up with his brother one day and asks him to take over. Magesh doesn't want to, but Jonasi asks him to do it for the kids. After that, Magesh tells Essie about Jonasi's HIV and asks her to take care of his brother. Then, Magesh takes Menzi and Sarah to his childhood home to show them that they were poor until Jonasi got them out of poverty. Menzi doesn't want to listen, but Magesh asks them to be grateful and forgive their father for everything he did, and together they will run and grow the company. Essie immediately visits Jonasi. She asks him to live with her so she can take care of him, but Jonasi doesn't want to return to the poor neighborhood he tried so hard to escape. Later that night, he calls Joyce just to say he misses her. The next day, Magesh says that Jonasi is hospitalized. When Joyce sees how sick Jonasi is, she gives in and offers him a final deal. She will let him return home, but he should stop sleeping around. After that, Joyce prepares a routine to nurse Jonasi back to health. However, they all get surprised when they find out that Lindani has signed the papers and took Jonasi out of the hospital. That's the last straw, and Joyce finally gives up on her husband. Girl, let that diddler man die and you can just inherit everything. 3 years later, and a lot has changed. Menzi is working full-time at the company and is sleeping around. Every time Jonasi is mentioned, Menzi refuses to listen. Magesh finds it difficult to control Menzi as he racks up his expenses, using the company card to buy Simba chips. Mpumea finally comes home for her mother's party. She's been studying to be a psychologist, and Mama Grace can't be prouder. Meanwhile, Jonasi mostly stays in bed. Lindani brings men over and sleeps with them while referring to Jonasi as her father. Sarah approaches Mpumea one day and apologizes to her for snobbing her boyfriend's knob. But Mpumea refuses to forgive Sarah. She doesn't even think of Sarah as her own sister. Lindani is about to party when she hears Jonasi calling her name. She's disgusted when she finds out that he soiled himself. Lindani thought this would be Jonasi's golden years. She didn't expect golden showers. Mpumea sees Lindani's ex-boyfriend and greets him. X somehow feels betrayed because Mpumea didn't tell him that Lindani was cheating on him. So to make him feel better, Mpumea admits that she was also cheated on, all because of a trifling sister. When the party finally starts, everyone is cheering for Joyce. She has finally finished her memoir and can't wait for people to buy her book. She's making a toast to a new beginning when Lindani walks in, pushing Jonasi's wheelchair. All the guests are shocked to see Jonasi's condition. Lindani tells Joyce that it's now her turn to care for her husband and leaves. Magesh takes his brother out to avoid any more gossiping. That night, Menzi listens as his parents fight. Jonasi wants to leave and for Lindani to pick him up, but Joyce shows him that Lindani is no longer answering her calls. She has left him for good. Joyce is emboldened now that Jonasi can no longer fight back. She reminds him how he ruined his own life and wasted all the chances given to him. Then she pushes Jonasi off of his wheelchair. I would have done more, like given him a circumcision. Later, Mpumea goes to her father's other house to pick up some of his clothes. She gets sad when she remembers how they were once a happy family. Unfortunately, she sees Lindani on her way out and calls Lindani a slut. Lindani says Mpumea is now her daughter, so Mpumea needs to respect her. Then Lindani reveals that Jonasi put the house under her name, so technically it's hers. The situation escalates and the two get in a brawl. Joyce is shocked when she learns about this. Menzi is still angry at his father, but after seeing that the old man can't even walk on his own, Menzi softens a little. Essie still cares about Jonasi and wants to see him, but Joyce refuses to let her in and tells her to go away. She even throws away the food that Essie brought. Seeing how she acted, Mpumea advises her mother not to dwell in the past. She also reminds her that Essie is her father's second wife. Menzi starts to spend more time with his father. He finally realizes that his old man just wanted him to toughen up. Jonasi finally admits that his biggest mistake is having multiple wives. On his birthday, Mpumea finally decides to forgive her father. Jonasi doesn't even apologize to her, but she decides that it's time for her to move on. Jonasi is starting to realize Joyce was the best wife all along, and their youngest blows out the cake for him. Mpumea later tells X that forgiving her father is her way of cutting the cycle that has plagued their family for generations. Just do some X-rated things with X already. Later that night, Jonasi asks Joyce to sleep beside him. He is cold, so Joyce decides to grant his request. Jonasi is so sad because he feels like he's going to die soon. Even Joyce cries when she remembers the good times they had over the years. The next day, Joyce is awakened by the housekeeper's voice. Ntombi screams that Jonasi is dead. Sashay, away. Joyce breaks down and screams in her own room. She's devastated. However, she also feels a sense of relief now that her biggest problem is gone forever. After their father died, Mpume notices that Menzi is acting like he doesn't care. Menzi admits that his relationship with his father is hard to explain. Joyce heads to the funeral parlor, carrying a very expensive suit for Jonasi to wear. She's shocked when she finds out that Essie has already picked up the body. Freedom knows that Joyce will be furious if she learns about his mother's plan, but Essie is determined to hold a burial ceremony for Jonasi so she can properly say goodbye to him. She blames Joyce for not being able to say goodbye to Jonasi on his last days. As expected, Joyce calls Essie and promises to make her pay for what she did. At the cemetery, Essie and Sarah cry their hearts out as Jonasi's coffin is lowered. Suddenly, Joyce shows up with some police officers. She orders Magesh and some men to take the coffin as she argues with Essie. Still fighting for this very mid-man after his death is diabolical. Joyce insists that she had to share her husband when he was alive, so there's no way she'd share him now that he's dead. Joyce says if she even smells a whiff of Essie's Amagwinya fingers at the funeral, she'll have Essie arrested. Essie begs Magesh for help, but Magesh can't do anything. Menzi consoles Sarah, saying that their father told him to look after her. On the day of Jonasi's funeral, Ma Tipa shows up. She greets the twins, but they don't recognize her. Joyce pretends to be a grieving wife even though she's glad that Jonasi is finally dead. She whispers how happy she is that he's dead and curses at him. Honestly, Jonasi has never looked better. Lindani is all dramatic and mourns Jonasi, acting like the main character, so Magesh has to drag her out of the church. Joyce goes in front to sing to her husband when all of a sudden, Essie and Sarah barge in. While Joyce sings, Essie drags 2 chairs to the front for her and her daughter. Menzi is overwhelmed by it all, so he walks out and cries alone. There, Lindani sees him. When Mpume gives her message, she calls all her siblings, including Sarah, to stand with her. In her message, Mpume gives credit to all of her father's wives. She says they all made him a better man despite his complex personality. As Mpume cries in front of everyone, Joyce remembers her last conversation with Jonasi. She admitted to him that Lungi was not Matipa's friend. Joyce met Lungi in jail the first time she was arrested for starting the fire, and Lungi complained about her boyfriend giving her HIV. So Joyce contacted her one time and offered her a lot of money to infect Jonasi with HIV. Joyce wanted Jonasi to get sick through the activity he loved the most, breaking women's backs. Joyce also admitted that Menzi was just pretending to be close to Jonasi now, so that Jonasi would make him his heir. And they successfully made Jonasi change his will. Joyce is confident that she won, even bragging that Menzi would never be like his father. It is unknown to Joyce that while everyone is crying inside the church, Menzi is folding Lindani like a pretzel. Having a go at your father's leftovers is crazy, and that's the end of the series. No more Jonasi, and we're not sure if there will be a season 2. But this was such a diabolical series. What did you guys think? If you guys have any good South African movie recommendations, please put them in the comment section.
Did y'all like that one? Honey, well, make sure you like and leave us a comment. I try to respond to as many as I can. And if you like Tubi, Lifetime, or just straight up trifling movies, make sure you subscribe for real. For more videos, you can click here or here.